My place in Canadian history. My family history in Canada started because of World War One and its prolonged effects. It all started with my great-grandfather and his parents, the Skellies. They lived in the north part of Ireland in the town of Dublin. They are a very Catholic family. They moved to Canada to start a new life and escape the aftermath of World War One. 1931, my great-grandfather and his parents got on a ship and set sail for Canada. When arriving in Canada, they instantly moved to Saskatchewan to start a farm and a new life. He was a very skillful farmer and did that here in Canada. Using his skills, once old enough, my great-grandfather went to the University of Saskatchewan to become a writer. Once finished getting his degree in journalism, he and his parents moved to Kingston, Ontario in hope of more money. Soon realized he wanted to move and become a successful writer. So my great-grandfather moved to Windsor and left his parents in Kingston. He started to write at the Windsor Star. Now with my great-grandmother. She was born out of Birmingham, England. As my great-grandparents' family, they wanted to escape the loss of money and hope for a new life. They were called the Brooks. A father, mother, and my great-grandmother and her two sisters. They came to Canada and decided to live in Windsor, Ontario. Her and her sister started a new life in Canada. She was a nurse in the local hospital. My great-grandparents ended up meeting in Windsor at the hospital. They then married and had four children, one boy and three girls, Terence, Patricia, Maureen, and Pauline. They had the children around the time of World War II. Did not affect them very much. My great-grandfather had a lot to write about. My great-grandmother had a lot of babies to deliver. They were very happy with their lives until my great-grandmother became very ill with a bad ear infection at 33. She ended up having the first ear operation at the Toronto General Hospital. She became infected and ended up dying with spinal meningitis at the age of 33. She could have lived if penicillin was a big drug back then. Nowadays it is very prevalent and useful, but in the early 30s penicillin was just invented. They were just starting to use it and realized how big of a difference it can make to certain infections. They started to use it too late. Sadly, my great-grandmother died because of this. Shortly after, my great-grandfather was distraught and could not manage all four children, which all were under the age of 5 years old. He decided to leave and disappear. They never did find a single trace of my great-grandfather. After he disappeared, my grandmother and her siblings became wards of the Catholic Children's Aid Society, eventually getting adopted by her aunt and uncle, the Smiths. Afterwards, my Elma lived a very privileged and happy life. A huge part of me is my grandfather. When he was 13, Newfoundland, where he was born, became part of Canada. He then moved to Ontario with his family at the age of 14. Not knowing this, but moving to Ontario guaranteed his future. My grandfather and grandma, Oma and Poppy, they met at church. My grandmother was a nurse and my grandfather was an arborist. They happily married. My grandparents were so happy when the Trans-Canada Highway was finished. They were happy because they could now visit their relatives in Saskatchewan and Newfoundland. They had three children, two girls and one boy. There was my Aunt Lisa, born in 64, my mom Denise, born shortly after in 65. My Uncle Mark was born in 67. The year my mother was born was not just a good year or ordinary because of her birth, but because the Canada Pension Plan was established. Both of my grandparents worked for the government of Canada, so they had a good pension and a future retirement plan. As the years went by, my mother finished high school and went to study business management at Humber College. She started to work at the bank. That is where she met my father, Mark Yeomans. They fell in love and got married in 1995. 2 years later, I was born, May 1st, 1997, during which time my dad started his own successful technology company. When I was 2 years and 8 months, my mom had my little brother Carson on a leap year, February 29, 2000. It was a huge event. He was the first millennium leap year baby in all of Toronto. Ever since, we have lived a happy life, had lots of laughs and memories. Thank you for watching.